Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnson and welcome to the Wednesday Interesting Times, a little bit of the midweek wit of UK politics. So, as I'm sure a lot of you are aware, well, certainly if you're watching this video, rather than wondering why the Sunday vids are half the length, I'm now doing four videos a week in order to try to keep up with the manic going on. But even with that, sometimes an important, nay, a predominant, a salient, a crucial story slips through the net. But for those occasions, we have Talk TV's Iron Mike Graham.
Absolutely shocking. One more little bit about Keir Starmer. He's now ditched Shakespeare apparently off the walls of Downing Street.
I don't understand.
What's he doing? Is he just trying to wind everybody up like once a week? Oh, here's another one. I'll just get rid of that one.
Keir Starmer, number 10, don't say what's replaced it. Because it might be, I don't know.
They did say what had replaced Queen Elizabeth I, and it was some modern piece by some Spanish artist that he liked. I'm like, why?
What?
Exactly. Haven't we Brexited?
Right. And we know that Rachel Reeves has taken down a number of paintings of men, painted by men. She
doesn't like seeing pictures of Richard III because she thinks that he looks a bit like her.
Well, got to be better than sounding like a Richard III. This is the news that Keir Starmer has removed a painting of our greatest playwright to add to the portraits of Margaret Thatcher and Elizabeth I he's already taken down. You inhuman monster, Starmer. What with this and Taylorgate? Will the scandals never stop? Keir Starmer has reportedly said that he doesn't like to be looked down upon. How do you think the rest of us feel? But it does beg the question, why not? What are you up to? He apparently prefers landscapes instead, which is fair enough. I mean, Boris Johnson had a constable there, shortly after a COVID lockdown, I believe. A large portion of the news of the last 48 hours has been about justice, or lack of it. Now, there's a lot of nuance here, so some of which I will miss. Trust me when I say it's not intentional. So, some 1,100 prisoners were released yesterday to ease the chronic overcrowding, and the government assured people that this would not include violent offenders. Turns out, this was not the case.
And another wave of inmates are going to be released in a couple of hours now to make more space in prisons across England and Wales. Of course, it's part of the government's plans to tackle overcrowding in jails.
Elizabeth Hudson is a victim of domestic abuse. Her ex-husband Martin Underwood assaulted her and held a knife to her throat at their home in April 2021 before going on to assault a second victim while out on bail. In February 2023, the ex-army sergeant was sentenced to 6 years and 3 months. So far, he's served 2.5 years.
I think what people don't understand in this, they talk a lot about safety, and absolutely that's right that we talk about victim safety. However, what's missing for victims is the fact that if you've been in an abusive relationship, you've walked on eggshells, you've changed your behaviour, you've felt controlled, and then you have this period of peace, this period of freedom where you can walk around and you're not looking over your shoulder, and that's incredibly precious, incredibly precious.
That was Elizabeth Hudson, whose ex-partner is staggeringly being released. And when the Justice Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, was then brought on to speak about this, well, it didn't go great.
So those in prison for domestic abuse aren't eligible for early release under this scheme. So here's what Elizabeth, who you just saw there, and frankly we, and I would say probably all of our viewers, cannot comprehend. Her ex-husband held a knife to her throat in the kitchen of their home. He's subject to a restraining order and possibly an exclusion order when he does get out, possibly by Christmas. How can that possibly not be seen as a classic case of domestic abuse?
Well, look, I think, of course, it is a case of domestic abuse. The way that the emergency releases work is in order to make the change in a legal way, you have to target the offences and not the offenders directly. And there isn't an offence of domestic abuse specifically.
What the f*** are you talking about? Pretty sure that holding a knife to someone's throat is a violent crime, and if this individual represents a danger to society, and let's be honest, the evidence is all there, you do have the power to stop this release. And it wasn't just him. Daniel Dowling Brooks, sentenced to 7 years for kidnapping and violent assault, is also free, and he seemed as surprised as anyone, posing in front of a flash car and saying, "Big up, Keir Starmer." More like, "Fuck up, Keir Starmer." However, when it's only right to lay a small portion of the blame at Labour, The vast proportion, let's say roughly 99.9999999999999% of it is down to the Tories. The prisons have been overcrowded for years, and rather than fix it, Rishi did a runner. Now, hopefully, Labour will fix this. There is a review into this, but that's unlikely to take place until July 2026. In the meantime, they are going to increase home sentences from 6 to 12 months and try to deport as many of the 10,000 foreign criminals as possible. And most importantly, never ever let the Tories near anything even remotely important ever again. And I know that the Tories messed it up. It's all they ever do. But if the Tories have been in power for 14 years, that's given Labour 14 years in opposition to come up with a plan, to do something different. Remember, change? I genuinely thought after the general election I'd be out of a job, not doing 4 videos a week. Now, moving on to, let's say, more depressing news. Peter Lynch on Saturday died in prison after being sentenced to 2 years and 8 months for taking part in the riots. This was in fact the riots that took place at the hotel housing refugees in Manford, South Yorkshire. There's been no official word on how he died, but some sources say he took his own life. So was a custodial sentence required and necessary?
Peter Lynch, the 61-year-old grandfather and family man who died in jail after taking his own life as a political prisoner of two-tier Keir Starmer's dystopic Labour regime.
Make no mistake, folks, Peter Lynch was a political prisoner, and his death by his own hands is on this government.
He created what many think are political prisoners.
No, sorry, you don't scream abuse at officers and then just turn around and say, well, that's just your policies and you're applying for election. But putting someone who clearly, you can tell by the conspiracy-laden placard he was carrying, had mental health issues in a broken down and overcrowded prison, especially when you see who we're letting out, that can't be right. Can it? Just be clear, there are no political prisoners in this country, which is a shame. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you have enjoyed these vids, then feel free to like, subscribe, share and hit all the notifications bell. And I'll see you all Friday. Take care.